If you are able, could you please rise for the pledge of allegiance? To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which stands one nation, God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have a full council tonight. We have the town clerk back, which is nice, and we have town manager and assistant town manager.
Before we get into tonight's meeting, the community lost a great member on March 31st. If anybody knew him, if you lived here, you knew Dave Webster. He was a past councilman, served multiple terms. Fantastic guy, would help anybody do anything. He was out doing what he loved. He was hiking the Appalachian Trail. It's a great loss to the community. He used to clean the intersection down by Route 4 at the monument. Volunteered for all the programs in town with the kids. Raised 4 great kids, 2 sons, 2 daughters in town. Lived at his family farm that been there for generations. Wife was still there. So if you could join me in a moment of silence just to remember Dave. Thank you. If you could keep Heather and the rest of the family in your thoughts and prayers, it'd be greatly appreciated. Moving on from there, we have a slew of public hearings tonight. The first one is on the fiscal year 27 warrant. I will entertain a motion to open that public hearing.
So moved.
We have a motion in a second. All in favor, Sam?
Aye.
Paul? Aye. Joel?
Aye.
Valerie?
Aye.
I vote aye also. We'll start the public hearing on the warrant for 2027. Would you like to speak on it? Would you like to open it up, you and Jeff? Yeah. Second. You want to do yeah.
Mr. Chairman, members of the council, overview of the 27 expense budget. The majority of that budget ends up coming in at 13.03%. With an increase in the budget. The majority of that, which is 1.4 million, is an increase for emergency medical services. The remaining 200,000 on the budget is operating expenses this year. It's part 2 of the EMS services upgrade for us to staff our own ambulances. Hire 12 paramedic or firefighters, staff 2 ambulances, or 1 ambulance and a fire truck 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The remaining cost, the remaining rest of the budget is generally just an overview of the remaining, mostly the costs were employee wages. Which we ended up with a 2.9% cost of living, 1.1% merit. The remaining, all the other departments were well within the ranges of their budget purchases. The biggest increase again was the fire EMS. Without that, the budget would have been certainly like a 2% increase. The 13% increase does not equate to a tax increase on the mill rate. That won't be able to be configured until after we get the school, the county, and get the new growth assessment and put that all together this summer.
Thank you, Tim. Do we have any members of the public that would like to speak on the fiscal 27 budget? Please step forward, state your name and address, and that will go to the online when you're done.
Hi, I'm Clay Curtis from Brattle Street,
And I just had a question um, on the advertising for firefighter paramedics. Because, I mean, I'm an EMT and I've worked for ambulance services. And it seems to me that requiring people to, all the advertising I've seen has just been for firefighter and, firefighter paramedics to combined. Uh, but that's sort of like asking for looking for a plumber who's also a general contractor. They're not necessarily connected. And it seems to me that we're limiting the pool of people by requiring them to be both firefighters and paramedics, although I understand that there is a need for more firefighters as well. But this is being talked about as a need to expand an ambulance service or to create an ambulance service. Another factor in there is that in my experience, and I may be wrong, firefighter paramedics tend to be very male. It tends to be much more of a male occupation, and paramedics tend to have far more female people as well. So I just wanted to bring up the question of whether or not this is actually being limited to a pool of highly skilled firefighter paramedics.
Great question, thank you.
If I could, Nick, correct me if I'm wrong, or would you like to talk about the number of applicants you have?
I was gonna say, like,
I was gonna say, cause I don't wanna misspeak.
No problem. Bear with me, I'm getting over a cold. To the point, the full-time positions were advertised as a firefighter slash paramedic EMTs. The reason for that is one of the main drivers of the whole project was getting firefighters on duty. So these folks will be able to be crossed, can staff an engine or staff an ambulance, depending on what the call is, or be utilized to their fullest extent, since we're gonna be paying them for full-time. That said, for folks in town, we do have openings for call EMTs who are, who live in town. It may not be full-time, but it is a paid position where you can work part-time and fill in. So certainly anyone who is either just a firefighter or just an EMT could take advantage of that. We'll take all the help we can get.
Your pool of applicants that you guys had were,
So we had 33 applicants total. We invited 15 to take the physical test, and we had interviews last week and are working on going through that now. So
excellent, thank you.
thanks.
Going to the list, Mr. Murray, you had questions on the fiscal year 27 budget?
I guess, is this the right time to,
For fiscal year, for the budget, yes.
for the building,
No,
okay, microphone,
no. Okay,
that's later,
yes, got it.
okay.
Anybody else in the audience would like to speak? Please step forward and state your name and address, ma'am.
Tamara Steinhauer, 19 Hill Drive. So I have a bunch of unrelated things, except they are related to the budget. Will the new position that was created, splitting DeCarlo's position in half, is that going forward? And is the store across the street going forward? That's one. Is it possible, maybe when you do the town meeting to pass the budget, could we find out how many people are employed in each department and how much each department gave back last year? Let's see, have you ever considered hiring an efficiency expert to look at workflow and job overlap? And I would also ask, maybe going forward, that if there are any new positions that need to be presented to the public during the budget process, could there be job descriptions attached to that so that it isn't, so it can't morph into whatever the requester is asking?
Thank you.
Tamara, can I
I just was wondering about your question about giving back. I guess I want to be clear on what you were asking about giving back. You mean like we
I like if
unexpended?
it's unused. How much does each department give back? And I'm sure it goes into the undesignated slush
Right.
fund.
Okay,
It would be interesting, I think, I would find it interesting, and I bet other people would too, to find out how much wasn't used and how much is being stockpiled.
thanks.
Anybody else in the audience? Seeing no hands, anybody online? Seeing nothing there. We will close the public hearing. Moving on to our next public hearing, which is cannabis license renewal, floral reference is 2634. I will entertain a motion to go into that public hearing.
Make that motion.
Motion, I will second it. We have a motion in a second, and go to a vote. Tim?
Aye.
Paul? Aye. Joe?
Aye.
Mallory?
Aye.
I vote aye also. Is there anybody in the public that would like to speak on the cannabis license renewal for Florida? Okay. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing for Florida. Moving down, we have another public hearing for cannabis licensing renewal for 599 LLC. I'll entertain a motion to go into that public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
I will second. We'll move to a vote. Sam? Aye. Paul? Aye. Joel? Aye. Mallory?
Aye.
I vote aye also. Is there anybody that would like to speak on the renewal for 599 LLC? Seeing nobody, we'll close that public hearing. Just for the public's knowledge on this, this is something we went in with the renewals. We have to have a public hearing prior to renewing their license, just in case any neighbors or anybody has had any issues with them. That's why we go through this, in case anybody is going to speak. We will be voting on their license later on under unfinished business. Moving on from there, we will go into public comment. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to comment on something that is not on the agenda this evening? Please step forward and state your name and address.
Paul Steinhauer Hill Drive. I had made a public comment 2 weeks ago relative to the events of the town council meeting on February 10th. And I'm here to apologize because I was mistaken, saying that a councilor had interrupted a resident during public comment. That is incorrect. My apologies. However, to correct the terminology used by a resident in public comment, it's still inappropriate. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hi there,
Hello.
Susanna Esposito, 22 Beach Road. I'm a resident here in South Berwick. And I have some really significant concerns about the conduct and the interactions that I've been witnessing between members of council. It's been brought up a few times over the past several months in various meetings, and the responses have been pretty dismissive. So I'd like to go over a little bit of that and share some of my concerns. But my first concern is transparency and the violations of open meeting law that are seemingly taking place. Maine's open meeting law, 1 MRSA subsection 402, is very clear that public proceedings are any deliberation by a quorum on town matters. And for a council of 5 people, a quorum is 3. So anytime emails are going back and forth with 3 or more counselors where you are deliberating, where you are asking for opinions, where you are discussing agenda items and requesting explanations, you are functioning as a governing body, and you are doing so outside of a public meeting, which is a violation of open meeting policy law. Vice Chair Cook brought this up March 10th. At that time, she already had 95 pages of emails that had gone back and forth between this council. We have not seen those emails. We don't know the scope of those emails. And there's a workshop coming up in May where the public is supposed to provide public comment on protocols, procedures that might, better the council. And I don't know how the public can do that if they don't know the scope of this problem. So in addition to that, I have some concerns about the way the council is communicating. There is a number of emails that are being fired off all of the time. And if those messages are being directed to the town manager cannot respond to those emails without further facilitating violations of the open meeting law. So that is continuing to go through the town manager, and there are requests being made and there are emails going around and no one is aware of them. In addition to that, I have seen some troubling behavior, communication, language over the course of the past few months. It seems as though there are some personal things going on and some pointed language, words being used like mismanaged, being fired at town staff without any facts or anything to back it up. And I'm here to tell you, as someone that has previously been at a municipality that had some issues with counselors crossing boundaries, that bleeds over to town hall. Staff feel it. And when you are constantly asking questions as gotcha points and trying to make people look stupid, that bleeds over. And staff starts feeling persecuted. They start feeling like they're being micromanaged, and they start worrying about every single thing they're doing. And that is happening. People are coming into town hall telling the town manager that certain members of the council are gunning for them to get them fired. That is not okay. That has not been discussed at any of these meetings. It hasn't been brought up. These are clear violations of your charter and of our code. And I'm here to ask you, A, to respond and let me know if you've also experienced this behavior, what the process is for fixing it. I would ask you to release all of the emails that have been discussed between all counselors from the new swearing in November until now, prior to that workshop, so that we can see them. In addition to that, I ask you to develop a protocol or process, since we're not following the current one in place, as to how you are going to direct messages to the town staff. It is unfair to just pummel them with emails and expect them to be able to address them, get back to them, respond, and none of this is being shown to the townspeople. No one knows that this is going on, and it's getting concerning. So I'd like to hear how we're going to address this and get this up front so that everybody sort of knows the scope and we start backtracking some of these bad language behaviors, the argumentativeness, the trying to get gotcha questions. It needs to stop. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to speak to anything that is not on the agenda this evening? Okay. Hearing none, we will move on to the town manager's report. Okay.
Chairman, members of the council, the highway department's been out road sweeping, and that's complete, which is a contract service. We don't do a contract that. They've cut and removed 9 disease ash trees on Vaughan Lane, graded the gravel Denner Road, which the people on Denner Road pay for. Built a gravel pad for the office trails over here that'll arrive around May 1st. And spring cleanup has started on the sports field. In the police department, they've had 11 arrests, 2 accidents, and a walk banging 222 traffic stops in 2 weeks. Good job. Outstanding. That's what we want to see. Fire department had 21 calls in the last 2 weeks, 109 year to date. The chief reports that the second ambulance we bought from Algonquin should be back next week. It's been fully serviced and it's getting re-leaded. When he gets it back, they'll work on putting the equipment in it and seeing that it gets an inspection from Maine EMS, get its license before being placed in the service. And chief reports that now with the fire danger high, they're posting the fire danger daily when it's released by the Maine Forest Service. Code enforcement, 6 building permits, issued 3 plumbing permits, 2 certificates of occupancy, 10 inspections, and 0 violations. And I want to report that Alan's doing a great job. He's picked up right off of that and is moving, going through stuff and not missing a beat. Under planning and economic development, Brittany Spencer gave her notice. She's gonna be leaving the last day of when the battle is on the 20th. That was not unexpected. Downtown Revitalization Plan Committee will be meeting on Wednesday to wrap up the wayfinding segment. The transfer station has been busy taking in brush and demolition.
At the library in the last 3 weeks, they've had 1,817 visitors. They had 23 programs with 297 people in attendance. The upcoming events include a native plant workshop that is sponsored by the South Warwick Conservation Commission and the Great Works Regional Land Trust. We also have another program with the Birds of Prey, and that will be done with the Center of Wildlife. Recreation, they had their annual egg hunt and touch a truck event that was very successful. The police even brought their drone, which was a big hit with the parents and the kids. They're interviewing for camp counselors as the summer camp is quickly filling up. The seniors last week on the 8th had a lunch and learn with a nutritionist from Hanford, and that was very well received with positive feedback on that new program. This week, they will be having music and entertainment and having meatball subs for lunch. They're gonna have raffle tickets given and line dancing is encouraged. The assessing department is working on the last 3 abatements, and we are planning to have a board of assessors meeting on the 20th. The town clerk's office in the last 3 weeks, they did 564 motor vehicle transactions, 8 vital records, and 17 notarial acts, and we are all glad to have Monique back. And Kim did an excellent job in her absence.
Yes.
Finance, HR benefits, my office is sending out 208 friendly reminder notices to residents who are still past due on their taxes to remind them before we send out the certified 30-day demand letters, which will be mailed out on May 4th. I am working on the insurance renewal for the new year and verifying all that information for the insurance company. Working on sorting out the storage closets here on the 3rd floor, retention versus trash. We had a meeting with the Scattaquah River Bridge Plan meeting, which was actually very interesting. I will be the point of contact for the spring market and the venture forward events for DeCarlo's departure. The spring market will be on May 2nd from 10 to 3rd at Shoetown Park. We held the quarterly employee safety meeting yesterday. We also had a meeting on the traffic lights on the downtown with MDOT. And I am just working on 3 positions and scheduling interviews for the open positions. And working on the annual town report with Dawn, we're finalizing that tomorrow. It will go to the printer. And as always, many meetings, especially now that DeCarlo's leaving. I'm going to try and cover what I can with the limited time I do have available.
Thank you.
I had one question. Not wanting to put you on the spot, but I got it as I was walking in. Bigging Fiber is, right now, they're using, this isn't about when they're done or anything. Right now, they're using the parking lot up where the building was, by the ball fields.
Where the red barn was?
Yes, so the concern is opening day is May 1st. Are they still gonna be using it May 1st? Because that's gonna create a serious parking issue.
Well, here's the nice thing about this whole deal with Fidium, which I was contacted over the weekend. We knew nothing of this. No one told us. They didn't call and ask permission to store stuff on our property.
Oh, excellent.
We just saw all their trucks all through town doing stuff. And we got an email saying, hey, we're working in your town. If you wanna know what's going on, contact us and set up a meeting. So I reached out to Dawn. Dawn's reached out to them. We have a meeting this week.
Yes.
Okay, we have a meeting this week, so I'll let you know. But as far as us having any idea, no one told us. And so the public's like, well, town didn't say anything. The town didn't know anything.
Can you try to make sure that they're cleared out by May 1st?
I absolutely will make sure to probably try to make them clear out sooner than that.
We know some people while they're doing traffic stuff.
So we can, they're probably not gonna like the $5,000 rent fee in charging me, but that's okay.
I'm okay with that. Go to the playground.
So, I'm just trying to understand, what service are they providing? I mean, we've had Comcast forever. We have I assume we have a franchise agreement with. I think, I've had a number of questions of it in my neighborhood as they're like laying line out there. Like, it sounds like a good thing that we now have another, fiber optic service coming into town, but I mean, it would be nice to be able to let people know, like, through Fidium or whoever, what we are doing. I mean, what they are providing, and, is it?
I have no answers. I will, as soon as
Okay.
I have them, I will put them out. to
No, it's good enough.
But if you put your address in, it can tell you that you were gonna have, fiber, because it doesn't my address.
How come, I mean, I guess it's a question for them, but,
I would imagine these guys do it everywhere. I mean, they've got Pennsylvania plates on their licensed contractors and stuff. I imagine contacting the town and making sure, for example, there wasn't any ordinance related to, blocking a lane of traffic or, police, traffic control necessary in each town. I'm sort of surprised. That, and what triggered them, do we know what triggered them to reach out when they did?
They must have had CMP's approval.
Because I mean, I just went and I talked to the guy, and he said he thought his project manager was talking to the town already. I wonder, I don't know if maybe that got back to them or, but.
They have vests and cones, so they're official.
They,
All right, so we've more to come on video.
and remember, this isn't the first time. This is the second time that we've been in the secret squirrel mouse here, that CMP started that project down on the other side of town over here for that new substation. And again, we were not told anything of it. They were well on their way. They were prepared to take it to the planning board. We had no concept.
Third, if you count the gas pumping station, because that was a federal grant that just said go ahead and build it. So it's actually the third time.
So I have no idea. As soon as we meet with them, as soon as I get some information, I'll push it out.
We appreciate that. Thank you, Tim.
And so the lease, just the other question, the lease on the shop, I mean,
We're not doing that.
okay.
We don't have, obviously, we don't have enough staffing here.
Hmm.
I don't have any way to staff that across the street.
Okay.
That would make sense.
Okay, moving on from the town manager's report. Thank you, Tim. We will get to approval of the following minutes. The first up is the town council minutes for March 24th, 2026. Does anybody have any corrections on that before we move for a motion?
I'll go ahead and make a motion to adopt the town council meeting minutes for March 24th, 2026 as written.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Sam? Aye. Paul? Aye. Joel? Aye. Mallory? Vote aye also. Motion passes 5-0. Moving down to the next one, which is the public hearing meeting minutes from March 24th, 2026. Anybody have any corrections on that one? Hearing none, I will move that we accept the public hearing meeting minutes from March 24th, 2026 as written.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion, Sam? Aye. Paul? Aye. Joel? Aye. Mallory?
Aye.
Vote aye also, motion passes 5-0. Moving from that one, we have the workshop minutes from March 31st, 2026.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to adopt the town hall renovation workshop minutes from March 31st, 2026 as written.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that one? Hearing none. Sam? Aye. Paul? Aye. Joel? Aye. Mallory?
Aye.
I will abstain from that one. I could not attend. Motion passes 4 with 1 abstention. Moving down to special town workshop council, special town council workshop. Yeah. Special town council meeting, April 7th, 2026. Anybody have any corrections on that one?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to adopt the special town council meeting minutes from April 7th, 2026 as written.
Second, we have a motion in a second. Moving on to a vote. Sam? Aye. Paul? Aye. Joel? Aye. Mallory?
Aye.
I vote aye also. Motion passes 5-0. The last one we have are the workshop minutes from April 7th, 2026.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to adopt the workshop minutes for recall after, sorry. I will make a motion to adopt the recall workshop meeting minutes from April 7th, 2026 as written.
Second, we have a motion in a second. Hearing none. Sam? Aye. Paul? Aye. Joel? Aye. Mallory?
Aye.
Vote aye also. Motion passes 5-0. That takes care of all of that. We'll move on to the treasurer's amount.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to sign the treasurer's warrant in the amount of $1,704,938.38. Dated April 9th, 2026.
Second, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the treasurer's warrant?
There's one item for Melanie Bisson for $9,900, $9,912.71. I was just wondering if that was.
Can you repeat what that was for?
Check 52060.
Melanie Vivian.
I just want to go back to the summary I sent to you guys.
Calling it too.
Yeah, sorry.
So some people pay their taxes as well as their mortgage companies. So this is a reimbursement back to the resident.
Alright, thanks.
There's quite a few of those in this check run.
Oh.
I've done it before, so.
Guys,
Sorry, what?
you guys got way too much money.
What?
So there, we probably have about 10 in this check run where the resident actually pays the property tax bill
And then their mortgage company too.
and the mortgage company take, yeah.
Gotcha.
So we pay the resident back.
Thank you.
All right, so we got a motion and a second on that one. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Sam?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Joel? Aye. Mallory?
Aye.
I vote aye also. Motion passes 5-0. Moving on from that, there are no reports and presentations tonight, correct? Excellent. We will go down to unfinished business 2599. Is there anybody from the public that would like to speak on the town hall renovation line in unfinished business? Now would be your chance.
My name's Sam Murray, 241 Emery's Bridge Road, South Park. I was at the special meeting the other night, and my concern was we're looking at getting into more and more things popping out on what needs to be done to this building. And at what point do we either change directions and look into something else? Or do we just keep paying all these extra things to the contractor because they're finding structural things of my concern? Sam is trying to get me some information on what they found in the foundation stuff. I mean, it sounds like they're going about it the right way. I worked in construction for a long time. And they used to use the flowable fill in streets. And it's a diggable concrete is what it is. So I'm just have the concerns that we've already got a large amount of money that we're putting into a renovation. And then it keeps popping up that there's more issues coming up. And it's like, when do we stop? I mean, I don't know as if we're at the halfway point of no return. But taxes have gone up greatly in the last couple of years. And I know it's not all the town part of it, a lot of it's school budget. So I just wanted to bring that up to people's attention. We did talk a little bit the other night. And I just wanted to do it so it's on record,
Excellent.
okay?
Thank you, Sam.
Yep.
Anybody else from the public? Dovetail is here, correct?
Yes, Andy is online.
Andy, would you like to speak to this?
Would you like me to respond to the gentleman's comment? Hi, everybody. Andy Jackson from Dovetail Consulting. I'm helping the town with this project.
Yeah, if you could belay those concerns or anything you've looked into, that'd be great.
Well, I certainly hear the concerns that the project is coming up with more and more unforeseen costs. We've we've been on the project for going on 3 months now, and we've seen unanticipated hazardous materials. We've seen some issues related to demolition, issues related to the fill under the structural slabs in the basement. We've got issues related to unanticipated mechanical and plumbing costs. All of that is true. I guess in my experience working on a 100-year-old building, lots of bad news can come up along the way. Charter Brothers is holding about $660,000 of contingency to help weather the storms that they can weather. The town is holding another contingency fund, sort of a fund of last resort, I guess I would describe it that way. You know, it's certainly possible that more unforeseen costs can come along. We don't want that to happen. We're reviewing every change order carefully. We are certainly concerned about the costs. I won't tell you that we're out of the woods yet. We're not even close. There's a lot more demolition to come, which is usually when a lot of these costs pop up. I think that we have maybe at least one way to pump the brakes on the project, which is there's some scope that we can defer or delay if it comes to that. We don't want to have to do that, but if we aren't able to complete the project with the allocated funding, you know, we can always tell Charter Brothers to pack up their tools and go home, and the project will come in on budget. It just won't meet all the goals that you know, that the town wants it to. I'm not sure if that responds to your comments, but I think the bottom line is that we all share the same concerns about the unforeseen costs.
Which again, we went over when we did the presentations of anytime you renovate a building. We were gonna run into these, and we presented that to the town on numerous public hearings, and again, they voted to go the way we went. Again, knowing that if we hit a stopping point, we'll let everybody know. Do you have anything else that you were looking to bring up tonight, Andy?
Yeah, I don't know if this is the right time, but we're doing monthly kind of budget reporting, and I was asked to walk through this group about what those reports look like and answer any questions that come up. Is this the right time to do it?
Yes.
Okay, am I allowed to share my screen? Yes. Okay. Let me bring up the right documents here. Okay. Okay, so we have a folder of files that we share. We have uploaded onto that a kind of a budget and funding statement. I'm just going to kind of walk through what's on that quickly, and I guess if someone has a question, just jump in. The first sheet of that is a statement of the funding sources for the project, including the bond proceeds, the undesignated funds, any grants that we've received, the second undesignated fund, and then interest that's accumulating on the bond, and then projected interest through the end of the project. There's also a statement of all the project costs that were budgeted at the beginning of the project. Then anything that's come up since we started, we put in a second column here just so that we're aware of where the changes are coming from. And we add that all up, and so we have a statement of how the project is getting funded and generally where the funding is going to different line items. As we go through the project, one of the things that we always kind of zero in on is what's the status of these contingency funds that we're talking about. So just to refresh everybody's memory, everybody, on a big construction project like this, we want and need to have contingency funds to cover ourselves for unanticipated costs or times when we might add scope because we need to make an adjustment or whatever. And so the town has the undesignated fund of $750,000, which has been covering some of the costs that have come up along the way since I think when I say along the way, the milestone for this was when the Charter Brothers contract was signed in November or December. That was sort of locking in the funding as of that date, and then since we've come on board, we've been kind of tracking the new costs that have come along the way. And so the owner's contingency starting at 750, and then there have been a number of new line items that have come along that are going to be drawing from that, leaving a remainder in the owner's contingency. And then Charter Brothers on their side, they have two contingency funds, which they're effectively using as one that adds up to $658,000. And every week they give us a statement of what they're using to draw against their contingency. So far, it's been dealing with some unanticipated demo, buying out subcontractors, based on the difference in the drawings between when we signed up Charter Brothers and when they actually buy the subs. That sometimes there's new design information, or the subs are just a little more expensive than they anticipated, so they're using their contingency to absorb those costs. There's been some unanticipated hazardous materials above and beyond what they budgeted. And so collectively between those contingencies, we're tracking, basically what's left in the cushion of these contingencies as we go through the project. So we're reporting back to the council where, like, basically how much cushion we have left as of a certain date. The next report that we're producing is, I realized this actually didn't get into the packet because I had 2 copies of the other page, but Jennifer already has this. This basically comes from Jennifer's office, but it's just a statement of who's been paid to date, just so that we know, kind of like how much has been requisitioned in total and what the spending is looking like. And then the next sheet is a statement that Sam Flingstrom had developed, and it's basically all the same information we just looked at, but it breaks it into the different funding buckets and how they've been approved or need to be approved in the future. So what Sam is calling Fund A, this would be all the costs and budget line items related to the funding that was approved through, I'm going to say when Charter Brothers was signed up. I don't know the exact date, but when Charter Brothers was signed up. And then we have another column that Sam called Fund B, which would be the new undesignated fund, or what we're calling owner contingency as of December 2025, which was allocated up to $750,000. And then we have either commitments or forecasted encumbrances against that funding source. And then there's a statement of what we anticipate is the fund balance at the project completion if we add up all the commitments and forecasted encumbrances. So we are updating this monthly, and I sent this, I think, last week. I'm not sure if it ends up in the packets or how it gets disseminated, but I'll just pause there to see if there are any questions.
John, keep going, Andy.
Well, that's the that covers what I wanted to cover tonight, unless you have specific questions. We cover lots of other topics in our regular meetings with the renovation subcommittee, and then we also have regular meetings with Charter Brothers and the architect. So I don't know if you're looking for any more specific information, but I was prepared to talk about the budget tonight.
Yeah, and I think that that's kind of what we were just looking to cover, it's just budget status for the whole project. We have been kind of providing little updates on some of the other decisions that we've been making to the rest of the council throughout. So tonight is
Yep.
well done, but thank you.
Yep. So, I mean, just as sort of a snapshot, the number that I tend to zero in on would be what is remaining in the owner contingency and Charter Brothers contingency. Because that's, I'm not too concerned about the line items where we've budgeted for something and we know we're going to spend it. Like, for example, we're going to send a recommendation for a commissioning agent that we've budgeted for and they're coming in within budget, if that's just sort of a procedural thing that I don't spend a lot of, it doesn't sort of keep me worried about the project, those types of line items. What would keep me worried is the onslaught of change orders related to construction and how much of that is causing the contingencies to dwindle down. So if we started with between the owner contingency and the Charter Brothers contingency, those add up to 1.4 million basically. There've been a lot of demands on those contingencies, but as far as we can tell, there's still about 947,000 of cushion to protect the team through the rest of the unforeseen demo conditions and everything. So we're worried about it. That's, I don't know if that's helpful or not, but that's kind of how I interpret these reports.
Could you mention, just from a sort of definition standpoint, sort of more generally than what we talked about at the meeting today, but the allowances and, so a little bit of how those work and how there's not a contingency, but there is sort of a relationship, in my opinion, there, and how, at the end of the project that could flush out.
Yeah. Yes. So, Charter Brothers contract, they're obligated to complete the work described in the documents and for the price that they gave, which is $7,083,000. Their schedule of values or their budget statement is like 3 or 4 pages long and includes a whole bunch of line items for everything. There are some things that they knew were unknown at the time that they signed the contract. So these are sort of known unknowns. Like they know they're going to have to deal with heating the building for the winter. They're just not sure how much. They know they're going to have to deal with some hazardous materials during demo. They're just not sure how much. They've got roughly 10 to 14 different allowances in the contract. So they've put a placeholder in their schedule of values for those items, which they know are going to come up. They're just not exactly sure how costly they're going to be. And as we go through the project, we get a weekly update from them on how they're drawing against those allowances. So for example, if they're paying for temporary heat, we get a statement every week about how much they've drawn against that allowance in particular. And it functions as kind of collectively those allowances added up to about $250,000, and it functions as kind of another cushion because if they've been we hope that they've been conservative in their budgeting for those allowances. So far, some have come in a little over, some have come in a little under. But basically they're managing those allowances to cover themselves as things come up during construction, to the extent that they don't draw them. If they don't need all the temporary heat cost, or if they don't need snow plowing or whatever, all that they've budgeted, they will basically never charge for those costs. And at the end of the project, they'll reconcile all that and they'll give us they will reduce their price accordingly. So that's always the hope. Of course, it's theoretically possible that they will exceed the allowances and they'll come to us with their hand out for a change order, but we haven't really seen that yet. The it's probably still too early to make any kind of definitive statements about it, but that's what the allowances are, and that's how they're being managed by Charter Brothers so far. And we review those weekly with them. So far, well, the hazmat is coming in higher than budgeted, but the things like some other things like temporary heat are coming in lower. So, knock on wood, we'll be able to get through it.
Thanks.
Any other questions for Paul? All right, thank you, Andy, we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Okay, sure, no
Thank
problem. Do you need me for anything else, or can I jump off?
You're good.
Thanks.
Okay, good to see you guys. Bye.
All right, moving on from there, we will go to 2630 to vote on the warrant for the fiscal 27 budget. Anybody from the public like to speak on that line item? Seeing none. I will entertain a motion. For the warrant.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion for the town council to approve and adopt the FY 27 warrant as presented.
I will second that. Is there any council discussion? Does anybody want me to read all 15 articles again like we did at the last meeting? Hearing none from the council, thank you. I will, over the discussion, we will move to a vote. Sam?
Aye.
Paul? Aye. Joel?
Aye.
Alan?
Aye.
I vote aye also. Motion passes 5-0 for that. We will move on to 2596, voting on the mural for the Odd Fellows building.
I can just remember. This, just some background on this, this kind of was spun up as the result, as part of the creation of our community art committee. We put out an RFP recently to solicit, applications for an artist to complete a mural on the side of, Oddfellows. And, given kind of the timing of things and the fact that the community art committee is not fully established, we opted to utilize the downtown revitalization committee to help us with this decision. And so we're taking action tonight based on the recommendation from the downtown revitalization committee, who has vetted the applicants for this particular mural.
Excellent. So I will entertain a motion on that if somebody would like to.
I think there's some folks that.
Oh, sorry.
Hi, Hershey Koplovitz, Sterling Lanes. I know I'm a little late to the game on this, but I'm under the impression that the Historic Commission is going to have to weigh in on this, and I don't think that has happened yet. Because it is in the historic district.
Yes, if it is, if it is, that is a miss on our part, then, so we need to send us back to the historic district.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
just from a timeline of event situation, I imagine the HTC would review this after some sort of application from the selected artist has been, has a concept sketch or something out there. So I think if we're still in line of the procedure to approve this.
I don't believe that's true because they need to weigh in whether it can be done or not before we can even look at what can be done. I think they need to tell us, just like if when Secondo wanted black and gold, they had to weigh in on that before anything was done. I think we need the historic commission to weigh in prior to. I can ask Hershey in her official capacity from the planning board.
I believe they actually have selected out of 3 applicants, a winner. But I think you're right. I think the HCC has to basically, vet the whole idea. Like or not, so they have that opportunity. It's not even a matter of looking at what's been chosen, right? It's a matter of, is this something that can be done on this participant? And I don't know if they actually have a guideline. I know they have, they have a, I don't know, it's like a 10-page document that's guidelines around what the current thing has done. I'm not sure this was contemplated in that, but Dan will have to do that.
Yeah, well. So I think what we're kind of, the conclusion we're coming to it, it's not so much that the historic district commission needs to approve the particular choice. it's the historic district commission needs to weigh in on the doing of a mural, period.
Correct, but we would be remiss in picking somebody if it can't be done.
I'm just,
Yes and no. I'm not sure about this because I haven't seen the I haven't seen the RFP in a while, but I believe the RFP asked to incorporate some existing ancient advertising that was already the champion, right? Spark plug faded thing is on there, which I'm quite fond of. And one of the submissions incorporated into their design, and I think that was part of the criteria, but I could be wrong. So, but that's something the historical commission should really speak to. Go ahead, Paul, what?
Oh, no.
So that
I
being
know,
said,
I think we did miss it,
Yeah,
I mean, I presume that, that building is part of the historic district.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And,
You know where a great mural should go is. I'm
So-
not sure.
does someone wanna make a motion to table that until we?
Well, I just wanna-
CCC?
I'm just clarifying, I think to Hershey's point about whether the RFP is specifically laid out, like keeping what's currently on the building, I don't believe that that's the case, and I'm skimming the RFP like in real time to confirm, but I think we kind of left it open to the artists as to whether or not they wanted to incorporate that stuff or not. But I think I'll make a motion that we, pass this to the Historic District Commission to consider at their next meeting and ask them to give us a definitive answer as to the, ability to put a mural in that location or not.
They need an application to review.
I was saying we should pass along the application. My motion was to pass along the application over to the Historic District Commission so they can review what's there, but I think it's also a question of regardless of the choice, the Historic District Commission is not the commission has been tasked with making the decision. I think the Historic District Commission needs to weigh in on whether or not a mural should be put there, period.
but we're not asking them to approve the mural, we're just this on. We're asking.
I think it's open for discussion. My opinion is I feel like we have designated, we need to kind of keep roles and responsibilities clear here. And I think we've designated the downtown revitalization committee to provide a recommendation for this. I recognize we missed a step in terms of checking with the Historic District Commission. And I feel like had we done that the right way the first time, we would have said, step number one, Historic District Commission, can we do this, period? And then we would have said, downtown revitalization committee, consider the applications. So I will just repeat, I'm gonna make a motion to, send the, RFP and the chosen application from the downtown revitalization committee, which they have specified Eric Sedler as their recommended artist to the Historic District Commission. And looking specifically for their input on a mural in that location. And whether or not that's within the bounds of the Historic District Commission.
I'll second that. Any further discussion?
Second. The discussion.
Yeah, I can't do it. Once it's back with the council, our charter does not
I
allow.
had raised in my hand, nobody's doing that.
All right, I'm gonna allow
It's
someone,
just real quick.
someone continue with it. Go ahead, Sam.
Sam Murray, 241 Emery's Bridge Road. I agree, the champion sign should be incorporated into whatever they do there. Along with just being historic from being on that building from as long as I can remember. They also use that as the background on a movie, Jumanji. I don't know if anybody's seen it, but that is in the background of that movie. And possibly they can incorporate the mural that they're doing there, whether that's something the historic district would want to do or not, with putting the animals underneath it going by.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, now that I broke the rules, any further comments? Seeing none, Sam? Aye. Joel, yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
Paul,
I'm good.
Joel, Aye. Mallory.
Aye.
I vote aye also, motion passes 5-0. Now on to the easy ones. 2634, vote on Flora cannabis licensing renewal. Do we have anybody in the public that would like to speak to this? Okay, seeing none, I'm gonna move that we approve the application for Flora. Cannabis, they are a business in good standing. There have been no issues, nothing reported from the police department or anybody else, so we're good to go.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Sam? Aye. Paul? Aye. Joel? Aye. Mallory?
Aye.
I vote aye also. That motion passes 5-0. Moving on to 2635, 599 LLC cannabis licensing renewal. Is there anybody in this public that would like to speak on that one? Okay, seeing none, I will entertain a motion for that one.
I'll move that we approve, cannabis licensing renewal for 599 LLC.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. No discussion. Sam? Aye. Paul? Aye. Joel? Aye. Mallory?
Aye.
I vote aye also. Motion passes 5-0. 2620, vote on art committee application for Lori Melanson.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to appoint Lori Melanson to the community committee with a term ending June 30th, 2027.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Just-
Oh.
I was just gonna explain the date rationale a little bit, so just for the rest of the council, typically every June, anyone who's currently on an appointed board, we go through like a renewal process, so that's why it hence the June date. And then my thought is this is kind of an ad hoc committee and, give them at least a year, start,
Just kind of curious, do we want to table these applications till we get approval from the historic? District about, or is this, or there's more than they can do besides us as well?
Yeah, there's more than just this mural. We're looking
Yeah, I
at the
think
building,
the
we're looking at
committee
everything. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Sam? Aye. Paul? Aye. Joel?
Aye.
Mallory? I vote aye also. Motion passes 5-0. Moving on to 2632. Another art committee application for Russ Renshaw.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to appoint Russ Renshaw to the community art committee with the same term end date of June 30th, 2027.
Will gladly second that one. Any discussion? Hearing none. Sam? Aye. Paul? Aye. Joel? Aye. Mallory?
Aye.
I vote aye also. That motion passes 5-0. We need to reschedule the Board of Assessment application for Brooke Cobbett. What's the council desire?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to reschedule our interview with Brooke Cobbett for the Board of Assessment review, to schedule that on April 28th here at Town Hall at 5:45 PM.
Second, motion and a second. The issues, hearing none. Sam? Aye. Paul? Aye. Joel? Aye. Mallory?
Aye.
Vote aye also. That motion passes 5-0. That takes care of old business. Moving on to new business, 2640. Anybody in the public want to speak about Catbird liquor license renewal? Okay, seeing none, I will entertain a motion on that one.
Mr. Chair, we're going to abstaining, please.
Mr. Chair, I will make a motion to, renew the liquor license for Catbird.
Okay, I'll second that. So a motion and a second. Any comments? Sam? Aye. Paul? Aye. Mallory?
Aye.
I vote aye also. Motion passes 4 with 1 abstention. Joel, you may return to your seat. Moving on from there, and again, if we have any new members that are here, we've been advised by legal, whenever we're abstaining, we should get up and move from the chair. I did not earlier because I wasn't in the meeting. I didn't have a conflict. And I was lazy. We will move on to Spring Hill Special Amusement Permit.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to renew the liquor license for Spring Hill.
The second that one, they're a great business in good standing and great neighbors to everybody around.
Sorry, I need to revise my motion to special amusement permit. for
Thank you. I'll second that again and stay with my statement. Any comments? Hearing none, Sam? Aye. Paul? Aye. Joel? Aye. Mallory?
Aye.
And vote aye also, that motion passes 5-0. Moving on to the Spring Hill liquor license renewal.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to, renew the liquor license for Spring Hill.
I would second that one. Any conversation? Hearing none. Sam? Aye. Paul? Aye. Joel? Aye. Mallory?
Aye.
Vote aye also, that motion passes 5-0. Moving down to 2643, the Pride Garden Party liquor license. That is scheduled for June 12th, 2026 at the Sarah on Jewett House.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the special event liquor license for Sarah R. Jewett House for June 12th, 2026.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, Sam? Aye. Paul? Joel? Aye. Mallory?
Aye.
Vote aye also, that motion passes 5-0. Moving down to art committee application, Jacqueline Busquet.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to schedule an interview with Jacqueline Busquet for the Community Art Committee on April 28th at 5:30 p.m. Because we have another one at 5:30.
I will second that one. Well, we have a motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, Sam? Aye. Paul? Aye. Joel? Aye. Mallory?
Aye.
I vote aye also, motion passes 5-0. Next one up is 2645, chapter 140 zoning language change. We need to schedule a public hearing. I will move to schedule a public hearing for April 28, 2026 at 6 p.m. here at Town Hall.
Second.
Any issues with council? 26 to 28th, I'm sorry. Did I misspeak? I apologize. No, 28th.
It says, oh, it's May, okay, never mind.
Yeah, for May, yeah.
And just for discussion for the public, these are largely changes to just make things a little bit easier to understand. It's not, doesn't seem to be any really substantive zoning changes with first language.
These were triggered by specific instances though, correct?
Yeah.
I think that's a question for the planning board. I don't know.
Does anyone know?
Is this the Bennett Road stuff?
Yeah, I think so.
No, it was because of the confusion on the Bennett Road road permit, which has been played out both prior to and after this.
So, Tim, this was, did the attorney write this?
Yeah. Yes, yep.
Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, Sam? Aye. Paul? Aye. Joel? Aye. Mallory?
Aye.
I vote aye also, motion passes 5-0. 2646, schedule the annual town meeting. I will move to set the date, time for the annual town meeting and be held at Marshwood High School Gymnasium, May 19th at 6 p.m. at 260 Dow Highway in South Berwick.
Second.
A motion and a second, any discussion? I, for one, am very happy, it's air conditioned, comfortable seats, and it's gonna be nice.
It's in the gym.
Comfortable
seat.
seats.
Oh,
Really? Okay, I take that back.
Can I just ask a question for the staff? What time do we expect doors to open for people to come in? 6. Right, doors will open at 6? Okay, so registration and everything will start at 6? Yes. Okay.
The meeting's gonna start at 6.
Meeting's gonna start at 6.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Doors should open at 5.
5, yes.
Okay, thank you.
And guys, you said that's awful fast.
Yeah.
Okay, so the doors, just for confusion, the doors will open at 5 to the high school for the annual town meeting, which will start at 6. Excellent, any further discussion?
Are we gonna be on the stage? Not that I mind being on the stage, but are we gonna be on the stage?
It's in the gym.
Oh, it's in the
Yeah,
gym.
we're at floor level.
So everybody else is up floor level, but we got a box exclusively for Paul to sit up a little higher than everybody.
Fantastic.
At the school meeting last year, like they had the board set up, I think they sat up on
They had
the stage, like kind of not a full stage, but like a upper side, I don't know if we'll do that, but.
All right,
Not a stage, like, no.
we'll be all good. Hearing,
Marshwood.
hearing no more discussion, fantastic story. Sam?
Aye.
Aye. Joe? Aye. Mallory?
Aye.
I vote aye also, motion passes 5-0. Last but not least, it looks like we have the scheduled public hearing for cannabis licensing application for hydration. True statement, because I only have half a line here.
Yeah, we don't have any,
I'm assuming.
support back for this, so.
Really? Now. I'm assuming it's a public hearing?
I believe it's a public hearing.
Yeah, federal public hearing.
Okay.
Yeah, mine is.
Yeah,
No, it's 2 pages. But-
the agenda, but I'm here.
Yeah, no, that's it.
But the action we need to take is just to schedule a public hearing for this particular business, so I'll go ahead and make a motion to schedule a public hearing for hydration at 6 P.M. on May 12th, ahead of our regular council meeting here at Town Hall.
I'll second that. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Sam?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Joel?
Aye.
Mallory?
Aye.
Well, I also takes care of business. We will go to council member comments. I'll go first this evening. Suzanne, thank you for speaking up. Appreciate it. Appreciate hearing how the staff feels. As chair, I acknowledge we have some issues. We've been discussing them. We had an executive session set up last Thursday to discuss them on advice of council. We did not have that. We are going to move it to the May 8th workshop we have where we can go over these issues, but again, I will own that as chair, and I will promise you, we will work through it and we will come up with a better way to do business. That's all I have. We will move on. Sam?
So yeah, I guess sort of on that line, when is the right time to inquire? When is the right time to make requests? I know the general public has FOAA under their belts, and I believe we do too, to request information from the town. And I for one, am a little concerned that when inquiries are made, there aren't any responses that are given back, and it makes it hard to govern and legislate if the flow of information from the town administration doesn't occur. So I apologize for not being able to pull together a list of requests that I've made since the election, but I know there are a handful, if not a couple handfuls of open items that I've requested directly of the town that I haven't gotten answers to. It is frustrating for me as a counselor to not be able for there to be a perception that it is out of line to inquire. I think one of our jobs in charter notes is to inquire. As a body, we can investigate and we can inquire as well, but as individual counselors, I don't think anything in state or local law prohibits us from making requests. And to that point, when like I have a list of here of things, but I now fear of coming off in a manner that is apparently unbecoming to them. That's obviously something we can start to talk about at the workshop, but I think it's very important that we also define what deliberation is and what discussion is. In my opinion, being on an email as a group and they're not being back and forth, it's not discussion, that's just writing your opinion. That being said, I do have some inquiries, and if it's in order, I'd like to make them.
No, not this evening.
When would be the correct time to inquire?
Send me an email and I will pass them on. That's how we've done it in the past. Any inquiries go through the chair. So send them to me, I will get you your answers. And until we come up with procedure based on the 8th, and again, going back with legal, we will play it that way. That way, we're at least making steps right now to settle the staff down and taking a breath. We'll get you the answers you want, and they're only dealing with one person.
Okay, that's okay. I'll send you the inquiries.
Okay.
I do also have concern communication related. There was an incident, I've been asked about it from constituents last week, I think it was, with the police, and I still haven't got any information as to what happened. It's my understanding other counselors were provided phone calls or some sort of follow-up related to that. I somehow got left off of the list of that communication. I'm sort of hoping I could get an update for myself and the constituents that have asked me about it as to what actually happened.
I can give you that. So there was a gentleman that was on Warren's Pond Road. There was a domestic, if you want to look at it that way, he left the house. Went out into the woods, they searched for him, he eventually came out on Mountain Road and was arrested. You were left out of that phone chain. I've talked to Tim, the way we're gonna handle this in the future. Tim is going to call me, I will call all counselors whenever anything relevant comes up that needs to be done. That way it guarantees everybody gets it. If the buck drops, it's on me, not on anybody else, not on anybody being busy or getting sidetracked. So he's gonna contact me, I will contact every counselor.
And I think that's a good idea too, because, you know, when you get into playing phone tag and everyone may be perhaps getting a different story, you know, it's not only a lack of efficiency there, but again, communicating the same message is super important and making sure everyone gets it. I gotta be honest, it was frustrating to me, especially once people started asking me questions and I'm like, I don't know.
Understand though, it was discussed, it will be, again, growing pains, it will be addressed in the future. You all will be hearing from me whenever there's an incident that goes on and I get notified.
And again, on another thing on my list, for example, and again, I don't know when to bring these up because, I mean, I think it's important that communication is free flowing. And if we don't break down communication silos, which are prevalent, in my opinion, in this town's government, you get into positions where it becomes more people are controlling the information, or it's the perception that people are controlling the information. And I think that degrades public trust as well. On that note, I heard from the town manager's report just that there was a meeting related to the traffic lights downtown, and I haven't seen anything put out related to that. I know it's super important that the public is in tune, in my opinion, with that project, especially in council as well. I for one don't think that project's at a point where we have foregone all of our opportunities to provide input and guide it in a direction that is aligned with the plans that we've put in place. So again, not knowing when the right time to ask is, like, can we have some more information on this, the meeting and what came of it or what the intention was?
Yes, sir.
Well, two things. First off, I'll apologize to Council Flintstrom. I was gonna call you, your name was right on my desk, the little slip with your number on it. I got busy, we had the next meeting, non-excuse, my fault, I screwed that up, I apologize to you, sorry. As far as the DOT meeting for Main Street, we did have one, we'll get you additional information, we'll get it before the next meeting, get it sent out to you.
Okay, thank you. My last question again, the assessment department has, I think their valuations are as of April 1st, or if they haven't done, do we know when we're going to receive information from them, or at least, you know, on the updated valuation that would greatly dictate the mill rate?
All of the values will be as of April 1st, so they're just starting that process. Typically, we don't have hard numbers till the beginning of August.
Just when we go into setting the mill rate.
Yeah, and this is maybe more rhetorical, but getting that rate earlier could be super helpful to assist, even in a draft manner, people to understand what the growth rate was last year, and then even if it's to evaluate on their own, like what the potential mill rate could be. I guess again, it's just a sharing of information. I know it wouldn't be final, but. I guess I don't see a downside in
I do.
sharing that.
So, if I may, the only downside is sometimes in the past, we would come up with, you know, Verna said, well, it could be this to this or something. And whatever it is, somebody ends up holding her, trying to hold us to, well, you said it was this. No, we speculated it could be that, speculated this. So Verna is very, she works diligently to get that stuff, but she hates to even give a reference to it until she's closed as a formal number. Because in the past, we've had people jump down our throats and then it ended up being substantially different for whatever reason. And people are upset with that. Well, you said it was this. Yeah, you missed, or we didn't include this, or, you know, finalizing our numbers. So,
And ultimately, it comes to us to set the mill rate, and we've gone back and forth. In the 11 years, this will be my 12th year sitting here, we've gone back and forth setting the mill rate, depending on this year and next year. We've not gone lower some years than as low as we could, because we don't want to yo-yo every taxpayer, including myself. The next year, when we have to jump 2 points, right, we could have went, I think, what, 2.2, 0.4 last year. And we did, because we knew there was gonna be a spike this year, and we didn't wanna make it as giant of a spike as it was. So we really need those numbers. Everybody in this town that pays taxes is used to seeing us set the mill rate in August. I don't know what else to tell them other than stand by like I am to see what my taxes are gonna be. I don't know what else to tell them. But.
And if I have one more, if I may.
Go ahead.
So I obviously with DeCarlo leaving and Brittany now leaving, that vacates an entire department that was doing an incredible amount of work for the town. And specific, you know, the planning board as well. So I'm wondering if there is some sort of plan in place to, I know Jen said she was working on some of the tasks related to the spring market and venture forward. Is there any type of written plan that is giving some guidance to the remaining staff and what workload they're expected to pick up, if any, and how we're gonna make sure that there's sort of minimal disruption to the efforts that he had begun to propel?
yes, so we've been working with current staff, try to distribute what stuff we could, but that's very little. A lot of, you know, DeCarlo stuff, not everybody's versed in economic development. So by priority, the first priority is the planning board and planning board minutes and planning board moving forward and keeping that going. As you heard Jen's filling in, trying to fill in, we'll try to fill in as best we can. There's gonna be a gap. With DeCarlo leaving, there's gonna be a gap, there's no way to say it. We have looked at the ad, we looked at the position. Determined the priority right at the exact moment is where we have funding, potentially funding for 2 positions. Position priority is gonna be planner / community development director, that's how they're listed. So we've recreated, sent that back to the HR director to have her kind of craft that to that standard. And that's what we're gonna be putting out next week and hopefully starting with that. So the goal is to try to get a planner / community economic development person on board. And before we go spend the money to hire an assistant, a secretarial assistant, and whatever else is next in the budget, we want to bring someone on so that we can have a collaborative effort of working with them and saying, okay, here's what you're gonna do, here's your job, what do you need behind you to help you accomplish your goals? What other position? So are you strong in planning? Are you strong in economic development? Kyle is very strong in economic development and okay in planning. And, you know, he loved economic development. He told me that all the time. Did good in both areas, but his forte was economic development. So the answer to you is yes, we're moving forward with that. Alan, the only choice we have is code. He's been in front of planning boards before, so he'll pick up some, hopefully the minutes and that stuff of them for the meantime. With his assistant Mike, I don't know if you know Mike, but anyway, Mike does a pretty good job for us. So there is gonna be some disruption and we prioritized with Paul, talking with Paul and and DeCalo, we prioritized, DeCalo's leaving us a list of what's taking place, deadlines, dates, what needs to be done next. So that we can both have that for the new, new position, new staff coming on, as well as we can keep track of it. DeCalo said we can call in if we need to, which we will, I'm sure we will. And we'll try to do the best we possibly can with staffing to keep the balls rolling. We were hoping to get some assistance from SMPDC, but the person at SMPDC is out. So we're still gonna try to reach out, see if we can get a little planning assistance for that, and economic development, for instance, the M shop idea or whatever. Just we'll have to wait.
Thank you, Tim.
So Paul, you're helping out with department head stuff or?
Just,
I got his
looking at
opinion.
the job description, and I'm just trying to get.
I just asked.
The applicant, I'm just trying to get the word out statewide on the opening, and just.
No, I just wanted his opinion where he had 20 years of S&P planning.
So,
See what
see
what it looked like.
I mean, I think there's an issue of like just short term, there's getting somebody in the seat over there, but there's also the issue of the short term issues.
Yeah.
And I think the planning board is not overly, well, we can talk, they don't have a lot of applications in front of them to review, which is a good thing. I mean, it's not like they have subdivisions and site plan reviews and a bunch of other stuff, so that's good. But there's obviously zoning changes and all the other stuff that needs to get done. So I mean, I think we're not in a horrible space, but I think we certainly need some short-term help. And I think, we're gonna try to piece that together. And it could be a mix of SMPDC and maybe somebody else. There's been some names thrown around, but planners who are sort of semi-retired sort of thing. Not me.
Nope.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, thank you for entertaining my questions.
You're welcome. Thank you, Sam. Paul.
Yeah, I think, I'm hearing what Sam's saying and what Suzanne said. I'm looking forward to our discussion on how we can work better together. And because I think we can. I think what we sort of tend to forget is that three of us came in here all at once, without a lot of experience on like how to deal with the town council format type of government. And we never really sort of sat down and said, how are we gonna communicate? How do we communicate? I mean, I think we had an idea at one point that we were going to meet and talk about communication and priority setting and goal setting and how we do that. I don't know if we ever did. I don't think we did.
We had time set aside, but we had a hard stop at 8 that night.
Yeah, so I think that can be incredibly valuable. I mean, I share some of Sam's concerns about communication and like how we get information out and, I don't know when to send stuff to staff or if I should send stuff to staff. So, I mean, I think it's an incredibly valuable discussion now. So a couple other things, there was a meeting today, just to get back to what Sam was saying on the Railroad Ave project. We had a site visit, we have one organization looking at redevelopment of the site, and the way we set it up was that if they didn't come today, that they would be the only ones who could actually bid on the project. So that's where we're gonna go. They'll be submitting a proposal in beginning of May. I think it's really exciting. I think it's really a unique opportunity for us. I think we also found out today that the housing law was, in fact, there was an extension. I'm trying to understand what it means because it did not get an emergency extension, which would have taken place immediately. So it got an extension. We are due to implement all these housing changes by July 1st of this year. Without the emergency extension, it goes into effect, the emergency part of it goes into effect July 14th. So there's a 2-week window of when we have a new housing bill that we may or may not need to adopt. I don't know where to go. I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. I have no idea what to do with that. You know,
Clear direction from the state once again.
so, in any case, you know, I said to DeGarlo today, I said, I just cannot imagine in Hershey as well, that I can't imagine us trying to get this kind of zoning change done in the next 2 months without a planner. So I don't know where that leaves us. Other than, you know, begging for mercy or putting in a temporary moratorium or something. I don't know. I'm not sure. So, other than that, that's a mixed bag of news. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Okay, Joel?
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna be all over the board. Jen, you made a comment earlier, we have 3 open positions, correct?
Yes.
Okay, perfect, I just wanted to go with that, and then Tamara made a request earlier about the budget, which I thought we had it on our website, but I think the way it's structured is we have every year for expenditure, but not what was requested and what was put out, you know, so like what was like left over in the middle of it. Is it possible to get something that's been updated? Do we have that information?
By department?
Yes, if I think just like the general, because I think it's a really interesting request to have, like looking at what we have, it's like the actual.
Yeah.
And not like, because I think you like have it, but is that something that we could potentially get?
Yes.
Right.
For just last year or previous years as well?
I would love 5 years if we got it. If possible, like I know like.
That's a ton of work. Let's go for a year and we'll start there.
We'll start at a year.
Yeah.
Year sounds great. Okay, then with that, and then. Do we have any updates about the rumor mill for the FBI? In town? Any update on that?
We opted as a council not to work with the federal government, not to work with federal law enforcement.
Oh, where?
So they didn't have to tell us anything. No, there's no news out there, Joe.
Okay, no, it's just.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Was the FBI again?
I will just say, like, there have been instances like this in the past, and it has been a very, because of the nature of the investigation, we're finding out the details after it's done. So that's the only comment I have on that. I don't have any information on this, but.
No, I was just curious if like if you heard something we had. That's all.
I generally will try to let you know if I know something, but
Perfect.
I don't particularly. Are we talking about the incident?
No,
Different.
We're talking about the bulletin striking again.
Yeah, there's a space.
That's all. I just said, I had three till after the updates, was like, let me know. That's it. For you, Paul, as well, for LD 1829, since we are a municipality that requires votes, the extension will put us out to 2028.
2027.
That's 2027 is if you do not have to vote. Since then, I was looking at, we require voter approval for ordinance changes, correct?
No, we do those.
So what we
We're-
could, correct, but since it requires voting, it doesn't say residents or group. So we could theoretically push for 2028, but also on the table, they're arguing LD 2173. Which a lot of main towns have made the suggestions and improvements, and that's currently being worked as well. So we have an extension as well as the fixes.
That was approved yesterday.
Yeah. Cool. And then another thing I just want to bring up with just a massive loss of DeCarlo. And the team, I've been meeting with him a little bit ever since he announced his departure, and he was just doing so many great things for our town. I know a lot of people have commented about the tax burden and how it's heavy on residents. He was really focused with getting business to help make it better, and just such a huge loss for our town. And then another random one. Do we have a town ordinance or prevention for signs at the Punkintown shops? Across from the school?
Like for.
What do you?
No, to prevent businesses having signs.
So the owners.
Yeah.
Of Pumpkintown
Mhm.
came before the planning board, came before the town council and got special approval to put a sign in. They have not put a sign up in the last 3 years. I can give you phone numbers and addresses of the 2 gentlemen that own it, if you'd like to speak to them, because I have.
I would.
They
Tom, every time he comes in here.
Yeah.
This was such a huge thing for a while, it was such a big deal that there was no sign there, and we
We've
did
been over
the
that.
necessary steps to make it happen, and then no one put a sign in.
They have a variance, they can put a sign out, they know the sizes, they know the lettering, they have everything they need to put a sign up. They just have not done it. The posts are there.
And we're still on track to do the walkway from the school over to that this year.
Traffic light next.
Yeah,
That'll be
28.
the fall of 22nd.
okay. That you combine, that's be a big review. Okay, that's it for me.
They can put a spotlight on.
Take this.
I will entertain a motion to
Oh,
adjourn.
excuse me,
Oh,
I have-
So I apologize, I'm used to going last. Mallory, I'm sorry.
I don't really have that much other than I'm really looking forward to our conversation on May 5th. This is a topic I've been bringing up since the beginning of November that we need to figure out and make sure everyone is very clear on how we communicate amongst ourselves, how we communicate with staff. I think that this job of being a town councilor is so incredibly dependent upon the people who work for this town. And at the end of the day, our taxpayers are paying for services that the people of this town provide. And I think it's really important that the town council be aware of the role that we have relative to staff and that we treat them with respect. And I hope to have that conversation in more detail on the 5th. I will make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it since I usually make it. Any discussion on adjournment? Hearing none. Everybody drive safe, it's raining out. Huh?